Welcome back to the Visually Hidden Selects podcast, episode 54. This month's selection was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind from 2004. Oh my God, I can't believe that this movie is over 20 years old. Like, that just kind of like blows my mind. It really, really does. And not in a good way. You know, like, it makes me like think like, shit. What happened? You know, like this was like a new Jim Carrey movie like not too long ago. You know, and like now it's like it's older than his stuff was at the time of its release. You know what I mean? Like this was only 10 years after Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, like when he took the world by storm.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's over 20 years away from us now. Like, what the fuck?
I was thinking the other night, I'll throw the DVD on, I'll rewatch it. I haven't watched it in a few years. And then I was like, fuck, I have this DVD longer than I have my wife. You know, it's like one of those, like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's insane. And then when you look at the whole cast and just everybody, like, I mean, of course, yeah, it's 10 years away from Interview with the Vampire for Kirsten Dunst. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like she was just a little girl, you know? And then Jumanji, like, you know, like, man. And it's still fresh. Like, that's the thing about this movie is like it didn't really age or date like really at all and or poorly. You know, it still feels very fresh, very relevant, and it looks great. You know, the characters are still fairly contemporary, even with the costumes and everything. Like, it doesn't look, you know, like when you watch a movie from the 90s, like Ace Ventura, and you see Courtney Cox's hair, it's like, oh yeah, that's just from the 90s, man.
Yeah.
You know, and Tone Loc is running around like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even Jim Carrey in that movie, he's got those like pants that he's wearing, and you know, it's like, yeah, that movie couldn't get out of the 90s if it wanted to.
Yeah, no, it's stuck.
But Eternal Sunshine, it's kind of in a weird way, it is timeless. Like it is always and forever. Like it just is.
I think the cinematography helps that feel. I was thinking about that as I'm watching it last night. Because it feels like almost like a home movie. Mm-hmm. Like you're getting a snapshot into the very private lives of these two people, and it seems like it's very very intimate and very homemade. So I think that lends itself to the situation.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember when I first saw it in the theater, and a lot of the film is handheld, and it has that quality about it. And I remember thinking at the time, it's like, it was a little jarring at first because it was not common. And now there's a lot of handheld stuff on TV shows and in movies and in, you know, even short films, like in music videos. Like it's become a regular thing, having the camera be handheld and sort of a little shaky, little rocky, you know, and or, you know, these like unpolished, and I don't mean that negatively, but tracking shots where like you can see the steps or feel the weight of the camera, you know, on the frame. And at the time, I just remember thinking like, wow, that's a little weird. But now, yeah, I think that's probably a part of it. So that just makes it more like ahead of its time, from its time, you know, and allows it to have this longer life.
And was this your first time seeing this movie?
No. I first watched it when I was 20 years old. No, before that, I'm telling you stupid stuff. No, I first watched it when it came out. So, I was 17. I remember that I was disturbed by this film. It haunted me for a while because, of course, because of the topic. And also, as you said, Jim Carrey playing a drama. And when you think about it, he started to do drama with The Truman Show. I think The Truman Show was before this film, So, but in The Truman Show, he's doing comedy most of the time. It's just the twist that makes you feel the drama behind it. But yeah, I remember that film. The funny thing, I remember the relationship between Joel and Clementine, but the rest of the film, when I rewatch it for the podcast, when I saw in the open credits Elijah Wood, Kirsten
Mm-hmm.
Dunst, I was like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't remember that. So it's funny when you think of the topic of the film that my brain blocked this information.
So
But
how long had it been since you've seen the movie?
oh, I just watched it when it came out, and I watched it for the podcast. So yeah,
Oh wow, so like
20
20.
years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay.
But I really remember the story, the love story between Joel and Clementine, because the film is really around that. Even if you have other plots, the main
Yeah.
plot is really everything is around that. So I could have told you about this story, but the rest, yeah, I didn't remember, and that's crazy because the big twist is thanks to Mary, the character of Kirsten Dunst. So yeah, crazy, I didn't remember that.
I have a personal record. I've seen every Jim Carrey movie in the theater since Ace Ventura. So I
Wow.
saw this in the theater. This was non-negotiable. I had to go see this, but I was really excited because the trailers looked good. When I saw this movie in the theater, I instantly fell in love with this movie. I think I
Mm-hmm.
saw it 3 times in the theater, and then I immediately bought it like the day it came out. I bought it on DVD,
Yeah.
and I've watched it a ton of times. And then last night I was saying to myself, "My God, I don't know when the last time I saw this was. You know, got to be over 15 years or so."
Mm-hmm.
So, but then I was like, it was funny. The minute I put it on, like everything came flooding back. I got all the memories, like, oh yeah, this and then that, and then I remember some of the dialogue in the movie.
Yeah, so we all saw it when it came out. We all, it stuck with us, and then we all had this big gap of time, and then we've revisited now for VHS and for the podcast. How did it hit you guys now after stepping away from it for so long and then coming back to it,
We are different people, so I guess as a teenager, I didn't get the whole thing with the couple relationship, and I'm older. Clearly, I see things differently, and I feel bad because I don't know how it was in the US, but in France, this film wasn't really welcome when it came out.
Hmm.
So probably because the director here in France is more known for advertising or for musical videos.
I was gonna ask about how it was received in France because the filmmaker Michel Gondry, he is French,
Mm.
and yes, he is very like his career up to, well, not up to this point, but this was his second feature film. He had worked for a long time in music videos and commercial work, so I thought, in France it's like, all right, yeah, now he's making movies. All right,
We're never like that,
go Michel.
That's a bad attitude we have in France. When a French director is doing something in the US, we should be proud of it. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm proud to know that a French guy is doing something in the US, but no, we're not. We feel betrayed in a way. So I don't understand
In
my people.
Turncoat.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand my people. But yeah, Michel Gondry is more known for especially for the musical video of Daft Punk Around the
Uh-huh.
World. I don't know if you know this musical video, but so yeah, I think that's the reason why people didn't really got enthusiastic about this film. But nowadays, and another thing, a strange thing, the title is in French, is still in English. I don't understand why, because Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, French people, we don't speak much English, so I don't think they understood the title. So that's another reason,
Ah.
because Eternal Sunshine, I think quite everybody understand. Of a Spotless Mind, I don't think people know what it means. So I was really surprised. And I lived in Montreal, in Quebec. And over there, they translated the title. They always translate everything in Montreal. So I was surprised of that. I think the combo, Michel Gondry, and the fact that they didn't translate the title explain part of the fact that people didn't wanted to watch it, and the fact that Jim Carrey is known for what I like to call slapstick comedies. Maybe
Yeah.
you want to. Okay. I thought you wouldn't agree on that,
No, no, that's fair.
but I would be curious to know how it when it came out in the US, what the success was
I
there,
mean,
or
it wasn't a blockbuster, but it was definitely a critical success, and it was financially successful.
good.
You know, and
Well, well regarded.
yeah, and it went on to, I mentioned in the video they won Best Original Screenplay
Hmm.
that year. And I believe Kate Winslet was nominated for Best Actress. So it was, recognized and appreciated. So yeah, but it wasn't Star Wars,
Yeah, sure.
or Lord of the Rings, but I think for a small, because yeah, it was an independent film essentially. I mean, Focus Features, who distributed it, they're, it's not 20th Century Fox or Universal or Paramount, so it was a small production. And then just I think the fact that Jim Carrey was doing it kind of brought some attention to it
Sure.
in being a small film, because at that time he was getting $20 million, for like Bruce Almighty and stuff like that. So for him to like shift gears and do this movie, I like I said in the video, this is probably his best film. And I don't even know. I mean, he has some really great performances, but I think Joel in this movie is kind of a cut above, and it's tied into some probably personal stuff that he was pulling from at that point in his life. So we're probably getting a little bit more than we bargained for on the dramatic side from him, which is a good thing. He
Yeah.
really delivers in a way that I don't think another actor would have. I don't care who it is, would have been able to at
Hmm.
that point, just because of what he had going on in his life.
I mean, as much as I absolutely love his comedies. He has some great dramas, and I think
Yeah.
that he gets overlooked, and people kind of forget that he's capable of so much. I mean, he could sing, he could dance, he could comedy, he could do drama. You know, guy could kind of do it all, and for me, he always delivers.
Mhm.
Um, and in some cases, maybe he over delivers, but I mean, this one, yeah, this is like a really great snapshot of this guy's talent, that moment in time. And I think because I think it helped it being a small production. I think it helped being at Focus Features, not a big studio movie, that there was more freedom there to be more creative, think outside the box, because it's not a typical studio film.
No, it's not a typical story, it's not a typical execution of a story, and, well, I think a couple of things came together on this, and one is those elements you just mentioned, but I really think Michel Gondry as the director, with his background in music videos and just his, like, visual approach to the storytelling, but then also his partner in the film, Kate Winslet, is a tremendous talent.
Hmm.
She's one of my favorite actresses, and for a reason, because she is super talented, she is super versatile, but also, you know, and we've talked about this before, when you work with good actors, you get better.
Yeah, sure.
And Jim Carrey is coming from a background of, like, the slapstick comedy, but she's coming from a more refined background and a more reserved background. And so, having that as a partner, to work against, just takes you to different places. And even though she's not there in her character the way um he is in his character, just having that person there as like a coach or a confidant, comes across and connects in different ways, like behind the scenes, where they're workshopping their character, they're workshopping their relationship and everything. And she's giving him stuff off screen that we're not privy to, but then he's able to combine it with whatever he has brought to the table himself. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you've got someone like a Kate Winslet who's fantastic in everything, and is such a professional and so committed. You have to raise your game. and he's got a great game. But I think this, yeah, it was in another level here, and to see him so um, everything going on internalized, where he's always like bigger, larger than life, jumping off the screen, to see it all pulled back and pulled in and restrained and reserved, super impressive. But yeah, when you've got a partner like that, you could have a good ping pong match with. I mean, it really helps.
And he does have his moments where he, you know, is a bit eccentric, like when he lays on the floor and puts the ketchup across his neck, and like he has those moments, or like when he's holding open his eyes and being snarky and sarcastic. Like Jim Carrey is still in there, but he's scaled back so much. It kind of reminds me, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree or care, but it kind of reminds me of like when Bill Murray did The Razor's Edge, which we talked
Yeah.
about a couple of years ago. And he's still Bill Murray and he's still in there, but he is Larry Darrell as well. And just as Jim Carrey is Joel Barish in this film, I feel like there's kind of a correlation there, but in the same breath, like this was, I think, Jim Carrey's like third or fourth go at drama. So he had kind of broken the audience down a little bit. And yeah, Truman Show was a little bit on the line. It was more the circumstances of the story were dramatic, but he was still, with his big rubber face, smiling and doing all kinds of things. But I think, Man on the Moon helped break that down a little bit more, and then The Majestic broke it down further, and then being broken down from the failures, professional failures of those movies, kind of brought him to a place where Joel Barish would not otherwise exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess this experience was really interesting for him as an actor because, as you said, um, I felt that they were in opposition to what they used to play. I mean, I'm talking about Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey. When you watch their other films, Kate Winslet, I mean, for me, she was more known in historical movies where the character is reserved and um, yeah, thoughtful, and in this one she's spontaneous, cheerful at the beginning, and Jim Carrey is well known for comedies, as we said, and to be the cheerful guy. And for this one, he's drained by someone who is like that. I hope I'm clear in what I'm saying. So it was a different dynamic and different
Mm-hmm.
chemistry to build for both of them. I mean, Kate Winslet, she's more volatile on that. She can play both, but for Jim Carrey, maybe it was a new exercise and still a rich adventure for him, I guess.
No, yeah, I agree with what you said, Anne. There, it makes, yes, you always ask if you make sense. Totally. Um, um, to answer your question before, Pete, and to add on to what Anne had said, I was still affected by the movie in a lot of similar ways from the first time I saw it, but because we're older and we've lived more life and whatever.
And we've had and overcome relationships. When you watch this movie as a young person, you haven't had all of these experiences, but you've had all these emotions.
Yeah, and so some of it hits the same, some of it hits a little bit differently. But I for the most part, for me, a lot of it was the same, just couple little differences here and there. But what's so beautiful about the movie is, you know, the examination of it was almost like the autopsy of a relationship. You're
Mhm.
going back and he's remembering. Obviously, he's not going to remember every single memory because we'd have a 20-hour movie, but he's just pinpointing these very specific moments that stick out in his mind and examining the good and the bad about those things. um and one of my favorite scenes is always at the end when they're in the beach house and the house is coming apart. It's like the final memory.
Mhm.
He's like, I just left, I shouldn't have left. Like, he's just having that, because we've all done it. We've all said, oh, I should have did that, or I should have said that instead. And he's just running that through his own mind of what he should have done and wish he had done differently. And that's just a beautiful thing, I think. And to see it played out like that. You know, a similar movie that does something like that for me is High Fidelity with John Cusack.
Mm.
I love that
Hmm.
movie. That one's a little more on the comedy side. This is a little more on the dramatic side of things. But
Yeah,
they
and
both,
the fantastic side. You know,
yeah,
this is like bordering sci-fi. You know.
yeah, yeah. And so like they examine that, those relationships from a male point of view in a way that I don't think many movies do. So
Hmm.
I'm two of my favorite films, and I'm glad they both exist.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like the fact that this film is not a naive idealization of the couple. I hope I said it right. But the fact that it doesn't try to comfort us to the fact that love is beautiful and everything is gonna be all right. It's not like, I don't know if you use this expression, but pathos, the word pathos, it's,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Okay.
pathos.
Okay, pathos. I really like that. I think it's realistic in that way. Is the fact that they're showing that love is complicated, and when it stops, you have to accept it and learn from it instead of trying to forget about it and find a way to forget about it. And yeah, I think it's part of your growth or your elevation in life, and I like that. I like that it hurts, but it's necessary that it hurts. And it's not
Yeah.
something you see in other movies, so it's interesting to have this point of view about love.
One of the things I took away from this viewing of it that I hadn't in any other viewing of it is, you can, even if that kind of technology existed and you went and mapped out the brain and pulled out all the parts of whatever situation or relationship you didn't like, it it's kind of not helpful. I mean, you
Hmm.
avoid the pain, you avoid the immediate pain, but you also kind of take away all the growth.
Hmm.
When I think about all past relationships that I've had, I always said, even the bad ones, I'm grateful for them because I wouldn't have got to the place that I am now and be the
Yeah.
person that I am now without those things. So if you map the brain and you take out all the negative, are you really learning anything? Are you really, are you cutting out the growth?
There are a couple of interesting things that are in the film or that come about from the film with that point. You know, one, they meet each other again
Hmm.
separately and they hit it off again, you know, like independently of that previous experience. So clearly there is an attraction there, and it's not just like a physical attraction. There's an emotional, there's a mental attraction that's involved, but there's also some subtle implications that they've done this before. That
Yeah.
this isn't the first time they've had each other erased, you know? And so that kind of speaks to their characters as well, and like their, so yeah, maybe they met when they were much younger, and they wanted to just get rid of the pain, get rid of the pain. And then they had this happen, and then
Yeah.
it happened again, and so they're lacking that growth, which is why they're stuck in this cycle and this loop, but now they've been made aware of it, so now there's like a sense of hope, like, oh, maybe they can overcome those petty differences, or you know whatever it was that came between them. Because
Yeah.
again, like one of the turning points in their relationship is the wanting to have a kid. Clementine's like, oh, I'd be a great mother, and Joel like, I don't think you're ready for it.
Hmm.
Like, and it's like, because he's not ready for it. And there
Yeah.
there are some other like little subtle things sprinkled in there with his character, like he's shut off emotionally, he can't share stuff, and so when he's trying to hide Clementine, and he's like, you got to take me to like someplace that's really secret, and he like takes her to like this shameful memory of getting caught masturbating.
Yeah.
It's like that's stuff that he never shared
Talk
with the
about.
real
Yeah.
Clementine. That's a shameful thing that he's internalized and kept to himself, and kept him closed off emotionally, which is something she mentions in some of the memories that we're exploring. Like she
Yeah.
gets on his case about that. So it's it's interesting that Joel in the faced with losing Clementine in the memories is willing to go to those places.
Yeah. I think, in the video, in the VHS video, you had said that one of your favorite parts is when he starts to, try to avoid the procedure, in the midst
Hide
of the
her. Yeah,
procedure.
the chase.
Yeah, the chase. It's such a great flip because he's, at least for me, was saying to the audience is, yeah, that was bad, but sometimes the good outweighs the bad. And
Mhm.
he'd rather hold on to the good memories, even if they come attached to the bad memories, than not have the memories at all. And that's the lesson he learns. That's a valuable lesson he learns, but he's going to get it's going to get erased. And he's,
Yeah.
really trying to just outrun it. And he can't.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that I think really just brings a real sense of urgency to the story and a real sense of drama and conflict to the story. And then when it gets to the end and Mary has her epiphany because she realizes she was part of this procedure and that's not fair to her. So it must not be fair to all of these other people. And, she takes it upon herself to send everybody their files back. It's like, okay, well, yeah, now there's that chance for growth, and now they have like documentation, everything they couldn't say to each other in real life, in real time, that they said to the tape recorder.
Hmm.
They now have that memory back and it's their own voice, but they could share it with that person. So it could, I mean, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pushing a button, but it has a greater opportunity for that growth and
That
and
that
a greater opportunity for success.
Yeah, that's one of the. I mean, even the first time I saw it, and even up until last night, when they're both listening to the other one's tape, it's like, oh, that's
I
so
love this
raw.
moment. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so great and it's so raw. And so the first time I saw that in the theater, I was like, oh my god, that's fucking embarrassing. That's what a cringy thing to have to sit through, and then they're apologizing. I would never say that. I would never think that. And it's just like, oh man, how uncomfortable. But then, upon this viewing, being a bit older, it's like, man, well, maybe if you had better communication from both
Hmm.
sides, Joel's completely repressed, but maybe if Clementine opened up too, and they had this dialogue and had this back and forth, and were honest with each other about what they wanted in life. Like my wife and I always talk about that sometimes when people get together and they just expect the other person to change, or
Hmm.
like, oh well, we don't know about how many kids or if we're going to have kids, we'll figure it out. No, you gotta know that going into it, because those are big, as I call them, the deal breakers. And if you don't have conversations about the deal breakers, you're going to have a struggle down the
Hmm.
line. And the Clementine and the kid, that comes up, and that's for me a deal breaker. It's, if you don't want to have kids, then what are we doing here? Because
So first date is your first question?
always, always, yeah, childbearing. What are we thinking here? I mean, and I'm going to write a number on a piece of paper. I'm going to slip it across the table, and if you accept the offer, we can have dessert. No, but it's the yeah, but it's those things. If the two of them had taken the time to talk about them seriously, they wouldn't have maybe been in that position.
Right, but also, yeah, I mean, I think a big takeaway from viewing it, is that Joel is repressed clearly out
Hmm.
out of the gate, and Clementine is very spontaneous.
Hmm.
And that's, so if he is not communicating something long enough, she's going to react regardless.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And that's a bad combination, and that's like the bad cycle that they're stuck in.
yeah,
But, I like, the romantic in me, the optimist is like, "Oh, well, I hope that they make it." Like when
yeah,
the movie, when it gets to the end and they're in the hallway and he's like, like, "I don't know, just stay," like,
yeah.
and
That's
she
one of my
says it
favorite
straight
parts.
up, like, "I'm gonna get bored and da 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 da, and you're gonna, hate me and this and that." And he's like, "Yeah, but maybe not. Now that we're aware of it, like information, communication really makes a difference.
Yeah, that was even back when this movie came out. That was always one of my favorite moments. Was when he said, "Just stay, just wait a second,
Yeah.
just give it a minute to breathe." And you
I
know,
always liked. I'm sorry to interrupt. I always liked when Elijah Wood is coming up to her and he's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Get the fuck away!"
yeah, that's because it's she doesn't know why it's creepy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
creepy.
Yeah.
It's just creepy.
It's
Like
super creepy.
on face value, it's fucking creepy. But then
Yeah.
she's in a relationship with him, but she's like, I don't know why but it's creepy because
Yeah. It's like bad
it's not
deja
organic.
vu.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, even when he says that the first, that just wait a second, and I'm always, especially this time viewing it, I'm left with the feeling of like you. I hope that they make it. I really hope that they figure out a way around their issues to make it happen. But I feel like it leaves the audience hopeful in the sense of it's worth it to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like hey, like I know this could possibly end terribly, but it's better to try than to not try,
Yeah.
just to let it
Yeah.
go. Because there's something there between them. They have something,
Well,
and
and
can they make it flourish?
yeah, now with that insight from the files, with that gift from Mary, can they do it? Because then, like, the last shot of the movie, is them running on the snowy beach, but then it gets to a point and then it loops,
Hmm.
and then it loops. It plays like 3 times, and that's like
Hmm.
another like kind of visual indication, like, oh yeah, they've been here before, and
Groundhog
they
Day.
they may be here again. Let's who knows? It's kind of like bittersweet,
Yeah,
and like
totally.
this movie definitely, like, if you don't feel something at the end of this movie, you might want to get your pulse checked.
Yeah. The first time I saw this movie and we get the reveal that Mary's had her mind altered and erased, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's fucked up. And she still works because, like, they're giving out those cards, like, don't mention Clementine
Mm.
to him. He's been, it's been erased, and like, don't talk to her about the relationship because we want to keep that out of her head. She's fucking in that office, man. She's like
Yeah.
in the thick of it. She's
She's
working.
filling envelopes with those
Yeah,
cards.
Yeah.
yeah, it's so fucked up. I was like, oh my god, that is horrible. And then you wonder, like, oh, did Mark Ruffalo know that? Because
Mm.
Patrick doesn't give a fuck. Like he's got Joel's bag of memories, and he's like, what can I pull from the bag to make a connection with this girl?
I got a question for you guys with watching the movie now, and we're talking about it here with Mark Ruffalo's character, right? He leaves Mary and the doctor alone
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
goes out for his smoke break or whatever. And then the doctor's wife rolls up and he honks the horn as like a signal. But then
Mhm.
he tells Mary that he didn't know.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
lying. For me, it's obvious. Yeah.
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 I
For
think he
you, it's
must.
obvious that
Ah,
he's
yeah. For
lying.
me, he knew everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe I'm
How?
wrong. But that's
No,
something
but
I like, the fact that we don't know everything in this movie. We can have our own opinion. So that's something I really appreciate.
yeah. So how do you know he's lying? How is it obvious?
It doesn't seem surprised about everything, and yeah, the conversation he has at the end with Frank, with the doctor.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I feel that he knows, and he's a friend of Patrick. He knows what Patrick has done. So, I mean, the same
Patrick
guys.
really is just a piece of slime.
Well, the other question about it is, right, who were the other technicians? Because if Ruffalo didn't do Mary's procedure, was it Patrick? Because it doesn't look like he could do much on his own.
No.
So we don't see anyone else in that office. So it
That's a
also
good point.
feels like when he does walk away, when Mark Ruffalo goes out for a smoke and leaves them alone, he has a bit of the George McFly's where he's like, oh, he's all beaten down. It's almost like, fuck, the procedure didn't take. She's she's at it again. She's chasing him down again.
Yeah.
And fuck, I don't stand a chance because she
So
was just
why
with him.
so why would he leave them alone then is my question. Why wouldn't he like kind of do his best
Psychopath.
to get the doctor out the door, you know?
I think but though this is my take on the movie. Now and the first time I saw it, you could erase all the memories you want, but the heart wants what the heart wants.
Mm.
And I think
Mhm.
he realizes, like, oh fuck, he's
Mhm.
because again, maybe she's been erased a couple times,
Mhm.
and he's like, oh fuck, it didn't take again, she's still enamored with him, so fuck, let me
Yeah.
get out of here. But it was always telling because the first time you see it, you're not sure, but when Wilkinson gets the call in the middle of the night, like he's off the map, I can't find him, you got to come help me, and the wife's still got like one eye open, she's like,
Uh-huh.
the fuck's going on over here? Who's he talking to? And it's like at first you're like, she looks like
Worried.
she feels uneasy. Like what's happening here?
Yeah.
And then when she rolls up in her nightgown, like oh fuck, you know, it's like caught him again. But yeah, what a great reveal though in the street. You could have him because you have.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my god, it's like
Yeah.
it's such a gross feeling, for
And
her.
and and that's just one tiny example of how good the writing is.
Yeah.
It doesn't make this big elaborate screaming match in the street and, pages of dialogue. It's just like boop,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and the wife like just in her face, the disappointment. She drives off and then she just leaves Mary and the doctor to like figure it out. Like, don't be a monster. Tell her, like
Yeah. Yeah.
And we slightly touch upon the technicity of this film, but I'd like to have your opinion, Pete, about it. I mean, you talk about it in the VHS video already, but for me, technically speaking, this film seems really hard to make for the visual effects, first of all, and second of all, the editing. It's
mm,
really something, I guess. They put more attention than any other film. I don't know what you think about it. And that's also something I really love to think that probably there is CGI. That's what you said in the VHS video, that yeah, for sure there was some CGI at some point, but
yeah,
they did so much, especially the scene when Jim Carrey plays a part and he plays the memory at the same time. I
yeah.
was blown away when I heard that from your video. I was like, really? He did both? Wow, incredible. So yeah, I would like to have your opinion as a director on that.
Well, yeah, the whole film, I mean, this kind of film and the approach to it and the story of going into memories and then like, cuz you never really remember anything like 100%, and when you remember something, you're remembering your last memory of it. So there's always this like generational loss on a memory. But the way they approached it as a filmmaker, like even when I saw it as a young filmmaker, I was kind of like blown away by it, and it was definitely a film that I studied, when it came out. Like I saw it in the theater, but then I got the DVD. Like I watched it regularly, and if I ever caught it on TV, I was always watching it because there are all these like little tricks in it, and a lot of it just comes out from the planning. I mean, anybody who goes into making a movie without a plan is just setting themselves up for failure.
Mhm.
Period.
Mhm.
End of discussion. Unless you're like doing a documentary where you're capturing something live for the first time, even then you still kind of want to have a little bit of a plan. But for this particular movie, there are minimal visual effects. They planned a lot of it, and even there's a scene when Clementine is leaving, when she's like breaking up with Joel and she's going and getting all her stuff from the bathroom, and he walks into the bathroom and then she just disappears.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a trap door there that she went through that brought her around the other side of the set. So when he went down the hallway again, there she was in the kitchen, you know?
Wow. Okay.
And so those are all things that they planned ahead of time and that they rehearsed ahead of time. So when they're filming it, it can go off without a hitch, and it goes smoothly, and then the audience, doesn't even realize it because it's so smooth, and you think there's a cut hidden in there, or you think they erased her or something like that, or they combine takes, and really it's just sleight of hand. It's like
Crazy.
it's magician tricks. It's like
Mm.
the woman in the box, where are her legs? And there's a mirror, like, it's an optical illusion, but they're just applying it cinematically. And yeah, it's great stuff. But then, there are the little visual things, like when the people just disappear from Grand Central Terminal. Of
Mm.
course, yeah, they didn't actually just pull him into nothing. you know
Yeah.
but it's used so sparingly that it's so much more effective. And then it ties into his memory, like when there's one part where he's hearing the technicians talking, and he's
Hmm.
walking around the room, and he's holding a bowl of cereal, and then he walks in front of the TV, and like the TV is just a screen amplifying his holding the bowl of cereal, and then the camera pans, and it pans back, and the bowl of cereal is gone because it's
Hmm.
being erased. And
Yeah.
it's all those all those little things that, yes, they planned it to a T before they did it. I mean, you have to. And it's something that I personally, as a filmmaker watching this, I just get excited by, and I just really respect the work that went into the other side of the process. I love the result, but I am aware of how they got there, and I love that they took the time and to do it that way, because there's no substitute for reality, even in a unrealistic setting. It just
Yeah.
lends that authenticity to it more and makes it more believable. But it's so fantastic, right? This whole story of, like, oh, you can erase memories. It's so fantastic that when you can inject as much reality into it as they did, it makes it easier for the audience to get wrapped up in it and get lost in it and get involved in it.
I'm thinking if we have young directors listening to this episode, it's really inspirational to see that sometimes you have a great idea on the paper, but you think it's going to be too much money to realize and to direct, and to see that this kind of movies has been made with not a low budget, because it was I don't remember the budget, but I think it was $1 million. But to see that you can do something great on screen with not a big budget, that's interesting. I mean,
Right. And with, even with a low budget or no budget, these are practical effects that you can study and you can master and you can employ. Like when Joel is a little boy under the kitchen table, that
yeah.
a lot of those shots are forced perspective, and that's what they were doing on The Lord of the Rings, with the
Mhm.
hobbits. In a
Mm.
lot of cases, it was the same thing. And if you look at that shot of full grown Jim Carrey under the table, Kate Winslet in the foreground, you know but if you look at the background, it's just a picture that they hung up. Like,
Mm.
it is very clearly a set, but that adds to the memory of it. And because Jim Carrey is in the pajamas under the table, full grown, but it's really Jim Carrey, or he's standing next to the fridge reaching for the cookies, you know it because of the tangibility of the set that he's in, and because he's in a memory which is already, as I said, like, foggy and cloudy, and once removed from reality, if not twice or thrice removed, like, it's a little bit easier to take
Mm.
in. So, and depending upon how you light it, you can make it look more real.
The first time I saw these effects, I was blown away. I was like, "Holy shit, this is so cool." And then some of it was just cool, and then some of it was like very jarring and off-putting and like kind of creepy. Like, when they're in the bookstore and they're trying to run and then it's getting darker and the books are disappearing and then the names are coming off the spines. It's like, holy shit. It's just like it just has this urgency of like, fuck. It's like the nothing is gonna get them. It's really was wild.
I love the shot where he's in the bookstore. He's in the memory of Clementine not recognizing him, and then he walks through the bookstore, the lights go out, and then he's in his friend's house sitting on the
Yeah.
stairs, all in one shot,
Yeah.
because that's just a set. But the way they executed it and planned it, and it's just like, wow, that is such a great visual. And again, film is visual storytelling. So it's like taking a concept and then making people understand it just with images. It's brilliant.
I love the different number of tones you get in this movie. You got really poignant things, beautiful things, like when Joel's a kid, and then Clementine joins him, and the two little kids walking down the street, whether it be Jim in the pajamas or the little boy supposed to be very young Joel.
With the cape.
Yeah, such great stuff. And then you got really creepy moments, like I said, where everything's disappearing, or when the doctor's face is gone. It's like something from like a Star Trek episode from like the '60s. And then you got just funnier moments, like Mark Ruffalo in his underwear dancing on the bed. Like you have all these tonal shifts, and then just the beautiful visuals of like Joel and Clementine waking up on the bed on the beach, just so many sweeping visions and tones and feelings and emotions, and just all wrapped up into this beautiful package. Damn, man, this is this is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, the movie, like when I was prepping the VHS, I was thinking about, it's like, yeah, like how do you explain the story? It's like a slingshot,
Mhm.
like you start here and then you go back through all these memories and then you let go and you fire past where you started to get to your end. It's like it's really it's unique.
Just a week ago, and I said to my friends, to some of my friends, that I'm gonna do the podcast on this film. Two of them told me, and then the rest was quite, agreed with them. It's a confusing movie, and you have to rewatch it at least a second time to be sure you understand full of it. I disagreed myself, because I said no, I watched it the first time and I understood that. It's true that because of the editing, it can be confusing for some people if you're not an active viewer. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
if you're thinking of something else. And recently, I heard Matt Damon saying that for Netflix production,
Mm-hmm.
they ask specific stuff to be sure that even if the audience is scrolling on their phones, they can understand the story.
Yeah,
That's terrible to hear, but you have to think about
that's
that.
but that's to go back to Boogie Nights. That's a YP, not an MP.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
your
yeah.
problem, not my
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I was just
Uh,
gonna say, in this day and age, that's probably part. You've got to commit. Put the phone
well,
down. You're watching a movie. Watch the movie.
Yeah.
but you know what? Like I'm the kind of person that likes to rewatch a movie that I like. Like
Yeah,
I
sure.
could
It's for
not.
pleasure, not to understand it. It's
Right,
different.
right.
Yeah.
But even if I watch it and I don't totally understand it, but I really liked it and I watch it again, I get something more out of it.
Mhm.
And even rewatching it to prep it, like I was getting more stuff out because it had been a while since I'd seen it. And so I was familiar with the story. But yeah, like I don't know, like, and like you said, like if you're not an active viewer, you're just kind of like a passive, like, okay, whatever, movie, cool, Jim Carrey, all right, Kate Winslet, you're watching the movie to watch the movie. But if you're watching the movie to watch the movie, I remember people saying like, oh yeah, like I don't understand Memento. I don't get
Mhm.
Memento.
Mhm.
It's like, were you paying attention? Because it's all there. And like when I watch a movie with my kids, it's like, all right, I don't want to hear any questions because all the answers are in the movie. There is
Hmm.
nothing that I'm going to tell you that I didn't learn from watching the movie. So let's go. If I watch a movie just once and that's it, I'm done with it, then you kind of failed as a storyteller. You think about like when you were a kid, like how many times did you want to hear like your favorite book? Because
Mm.
it was your favorite, and what did that book do to you and your mind and your inspiration, and where how many different places did that one book take you, you know as a
Yeah.
kid? And so then as a grown up, yeah, you'll read books, but books are different for grown-ups. They're bigger and they're more time consuming. And so people watch movies and okay, so where's this movie taking you? And not just in the visual superficial story, but where's it taking you like mentally? Where's it taking you emotionally? And why do you want to keep going back there?
But one of my favorite parts before we wrap it up is when they're in the city and the circus is going through,
Uh-huh.
which was a totally impromptu moment for the cast and crew because they didn't know a circus was coming to town. But just the footage of that just seems so fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
a quintessential thing that would only happen like in New York, like
Mm-hmm.
some elephants just walking down, through Times Square. No big deal. Just fine. Um, but
And
yeah,
it's such a unique opportunity for a memory,
yeah,
so it's like how serendipitous that they were able to capture that and then utilize it.
yeah. And Joel and Clementine look like they're having so much fun,
Yeah.
in those sequences. And it's like, what a special, cool, unique thing. Um, that's like one of those happy accidents that I'm so glad happened because it's like, how cool is that? You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, maybe my favorite moment I would say is when they meet in the train at the beginning. When you think it's the first time they're meeting, but maybe I love quite all the film. To be frank with you, maybe there is one sequence I don't really like, and we talked a lot about it today. Is when he's a baby, when Jim
Mm-hmm.
Carrey is playing. I think it's awkward. But that's probably the only moment I really don't like, because yeah, all the scenes I think they have an interesting thing in it. So even when you see Stan and Mary playing full on Jim Carrey's body, I think
Mm-hmm.
there is something really ridiculous in the way that this poor guy is doing something really terrible in his life, a brain damage, and on the other part you have people playing fun. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I like it. I like it. I think every scene is romantic in this film. There is always something you can find a meaning, a deep meaning in it. Anyway, so I don't have a specific scene I like, but yeah, I love all this film. It's a masterpiece. And you, Pete, what do you
Well,
prefer?
as I mentioned in the video we talked about it as well, but yeah, like when Joel realizes the error of his ways and it's like it's too late, he's pulled the trigger and the bullet is like flying through space now, flying through his brain, just destroying shit, and he realizes, oh no, like when oh no. And so when he starts to try to hide her, and then he takes her to those repressed places, and we as the audience get the insight that we need into Joel's character to really understand what brought about this cycle. Like I love that whole kickoff and sequence and what it just does for the character, what it does for the story, and what it does for the audience. To me, that's kind of like a turning point in not only the story in the film, but also in the character.
Yeah.
That will about do it for us here today at the Visually Hidden Selects podcast. We will be discussing a completely different film next time, so make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you don't miss any future selections. You can catch Stephen Bendler over at Steve's Pop Culture Corner on Instagram. Ann and I, of course, are also on Instagram as well as Letterboxd, so you can follow us over there and find out what we've been watching and see what we think. And until next time, keep your mind clean.